I need a bunch of country girls from where they siblings. A pom-pom to the drums for the winning team. Titty me, pretty freak, turn up on the scene. You need to get those jugs up on my big screen. You need to get those jugs up on my big screen. Yeah, he needs to get his ones up to say that he's seen them. You need to one-on-one with me on the big screen. Yeah, to see you and interview you for the big screen. Yeah, said she's a Pisces, she's so feisty, I should look at her chart. I said, you're a piece of work. She said, no, I'm a work of art. You want a Saturn, this thing out, or cut the chase and get the Mars. She said, I'll do you one better, invest in some of your bras. Now I'm getting payments through the shopping carts. Baby, those type of occasions get my cock so hard. This off the record, I can't get another charge. But what we're thinking now, those outside this profession would find art. Sent an email of a naked in a state ID card. To contract independently and whatever I want. Said don't judge her, it's another way to take care of a son. I commended her, then began editing, it's so much fun. I need a bunch of country girls from where they siblings. A pom-pom to the drums for the winning team. Titty me, pretty freak, turn up on the scene. You need to get those jugs up on my big screen. You need to...
Okay, so here's how it goes, right? There was a comment made. People want to know, why do Scorpio women talk like type wild or type crazy or offensively to people? And they do it because they are vengeful. Like if you do something about it or you try to do something about it to oppose them, they will exercise their tactics for vengeance on people. So that's the question that's phrased, right? And here's how it goes. This is what you got to understand about Scorpio woman. She knows you. She knows you. And that's what enables her to speak the way that she does recklessly to people sometimes. To behave or treat people sometimes foul in the way that they deliver their speech or whatever their case may be to people. And this could be about people that they care about or what you may perceive to be alleged care about as well. So let me give you a breakdown of this, right? Just from being a Pisces, I can give a breakdown with an understanding, because Pisces are the sum of all parts. So I understand, I guess, better how the Scorpio moves or the Scorpio energy is, because I can be each sign. Now, I don't know, possibly you're a Libra or you're Aries and you can do the same thing. So I'm going to give you a lesson that you can actually take with you to try it on your own to see if this works for you as well. So first I'm going to personalize where Scorpio is in my natal chart, and I suggest that you do the same when you get the time, right? So in my natal chart, Scorpio is inside of the sign, it's inside of the third house for me, right? And this can work for the solar chart as well. So for me, it's about community, siblings, communication, the major things, right? Vehicles and stuff like that. So for me, it's like, and I'm gonna tell you a story, right? Like once upon a time, someone, I had ordered a handyman to come to my apartment to fix some things for me. So when they got there, they was telling me how they used to live in the neighborhood about 30 years ago. Not 30 years ago, but like they lived in the neighborhood for 30 years. So this person was an older person. And, they had left the community. They used to work there in the community, but they left the community for about 7 years. And then they had some type of calling or whatever to come back to the community, took up the same craft. And now they're back. They even went as far as to tell me who lived in the apartment that I lived in before I lived there. Just telling me all of this stuff while fixing my stuff, right? And I didn't ask this person anything. I did not ask them about their life, about where they're from. I didn't ask them any of these things. They just told me all of this stuff. So the reason why I'm saying this is, if you can look where Scorpio is in your natal chart, you'll understand the sign of Scorpio more. And again, I know for Pisces, this is simple for Pisces to do because we're the sum of all parts. Still, you may be able to do it as well. So look where your Scorpio is in your chart so you can understand it better. Now, let me tell you, I did not intend to go into my community, and this happens every community I go to. what I'm saying is I'm investigative in every community that I go to. I walk in the store, I'll hear the languages being spoken, so I know what, I start pinpointing who's what religion and this, that, and the third. And I don't know if you ever heard the term ear hustling. I do this very well. And I do this in a way that benefits me. Like, I can pick up on information that's being spoken about around me, and somehow it either relates to me or it becomes valuable to me, the information. This happens every community I go to and I stay at and stuff like that. Same with my neighbors. Like, I have information on my neighbors that, I guess you could just say it just naturally occurs and naturally happens. I naturally pick this stuff up. You know what I mean? Like, my neighbors can call on me. We could be strangers, and then how people you see in the TV shows and stuff, right? That people will actually come knock on your door when you move in the neighborhood and be like, hey, I see you're the new neighbor and stuff like that, right? This is how I am when I get to a neighborhood. That's the type of energy that I get. And again, it's not that I intend to do this stuff. This is my natural disposition due to the sign of Scorpio in my house, in my natal chart. All right. Now, another thing is this, and people may not know this about Scorpio, but there's a sense of insecurity that comes with Scorpio because they don't want to be alone. Now, again, this is like an oxymoron, which I explain the oxymorons pretty much, right? As much as I possibly can with the signs. And it's an oxymoron because this sign, Scorpio, has so much personal power. So one would think from the outside looking in, well, you could do fine on your own. Look at you now. You're all powerful, right? But it's just not that simple because Scorpio is ruled by the 8th house, and the 8th house rules over other people. Not just other people, but other people's money, their information, and I mean information like your mortgage, your tax bracket, how much taxes you claimed and how much you're getting back on your return, right? The insurance policy, the estate, right? Naturally, they are attributed these characteristics. So from day one, Scorpio woman is looking to latch on or be with another person, right? And sometimes it comes in the form of other people until they can find that one person. So this is why a Scorpio woman investigates their significant other before they get to even meeting them, because they understand that, that natural feeling of being insecure until you're attached to someone makes them feel like, okay, once I know these things about them, I have one up on them, or at least have a fighting chance to be with this person. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's used as leverage in a sense, because they get to find out this information about you. So you could look at it like in the cliche type of quarrels in relationships, for those relationships that do have quarrels, right? You know how the argument can get heated, and then what do you start doing? You start hurling insults at each other, and you might say something like, oh, you wasn't talking like that when we was sleeping on an air mattress and had a loaf of bread. Remember that? We had that loaf of bread for dinner for 3 days. I mean, like, you remember that? Like, don't act all bougie now. Like, these are the type of secrets that come along with Scorpio, the 8th house, and things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying? So these are secrets that are known, but they're not known by everyone. Now, 9 times out of 10, Scorpio knows these secrets, right? And they can use them as leverage over you. And at the same time, it's kind of bugged out, because these are how these signs become loyal as well, because they feel like, okay, if I know this much about this person, you're not going to leave me, right? Because I'm telling you, they have an insecurity and a fear of being alone. It's not like Pisces, naturally 12th house, can isolate. Pisces is alone, feels like they're alone anyway. So it's just like, well, okay, I'll be alone. It's fine. Like, they would like to be with people, but if they have to be alone, it's fine. Cancer is right behind Scorpio, because naturally they have a 4th house that deals with relatives and, family members that are supposed to be around them, is how they feel, so. But Scorpio is like number one, because they have to be with someone. Like, their whole life journey depends on that in a sense, right? So that analogy is what you can use to let between quarrels, between relationships, between couples, where you could hurl offensive insults at each other. This is why they talk to people who are potential enemies the same way, because they're like, I know you. You know what I'm saying? And this is what you got to remember as well. Don't think for 1 second that because they're not your significant other and they're just like a potential enemy, like let's say they're a coworker or something like that, right? Don't think that that doesn't mean that they don't know anything about you. They do. They do, because they investigated you too. If they had to speak to other coworkers on their job, if they had to speak to the boss and ask questions about you, whatever they had to do, they did something to find out something about you. And they can utilize that as, leverage. Now, again, that's not even to the whole violent point as of yet. However, it's like embedded in them that it's like, if you hurt their insecurity by understanding that or trying to detach yourself from the bond that you have. And I know this sounds psycho, right? Like, what bond are you talking about? Like, I don't even like her. Like, we don't have a bond. Like, she's bugged out. This is what I'm saying. According to her, you do have a bond because she knows you. She knows things about you. So that automatically attaches you to her. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird, right? But I'm going to give you an example that explains this on a more vivid level so you can understand exactly what. Okay, so look, right? J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI back in the days, right? J. Edgar Hoover had Scorpio as his midhaven, inside of his 10th house, which deals with career, which deals with organizations, corporations. You get the gist, right? So for people who don't know, J. Edgar Hoover actually dedicated his career to investigating other people, right? So he attached himself onto these other people's lives and built relationships via the information that he obtained about them, right? And if you hear testimonies of the people that he investigated, like their colleagues and stuff like that, like you'll hear certain stories that says, they had no idea what was his beef with them. Like, they didn't have no reason to even want to meet the man or, build an association with him or whatever the case may be. And some people felt that they didn't need to be investigated at that. However, this man felt the need, he was obligated to investigate and build relationships with these people via investigating them, right? So he would do wiretaps vigorously on people ranging from politicians to celebrity and prominent figures in the United States, right? And what he did was he utilized that information as leverage over all of these people. So one can say that he was actually obsessed with investigating these people, and in the process, he felt that he was associated or bonded to these people, and he was obsessed with it, right? So these are all characteristics of Scorpio, being obsessed, having an obsession, and again, characteristics of the 8th house are being dragged to the 10th house. You want to know the secrets and investigate the secrets of these people, and you're willing to go to the extremities and endure the extremities of this process, right? So he did not stop. He was very adamant about finding out people's business, and he did. Him being a Capricorn ascendant at the same time strengthened his position to do so, because Capricorn is the ruler of the 10th house. You understand what I'm saying? So, or is ruled by the 10th house. Same difference, right? So it gives him even more of a prestige persona in that pursuit of investigating people along the lines of his career. And as you've seen, he actually used it as he would get revenge on people via what he probably had personal dislikes or whatever the case may be. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't go too in depth into his personal story, but I do believe I heard some things about that when doing the research, that he really didn't even like certain people for whatever reason it may be, and that was his way of getting back at them by having leverage over them. So that is a prime example of how this Scorpio energy can behave and treat people when they're not your significant other. They can be your potential enemy, or they can just be obligated to investigate you based upon where Scorpio is inside of their natal chart. Right? So that is why Scorpio woman talks to you. It could be reckless. It could be in an offensive manner. It's because they know something about you. They know something about you. They know something that even makes you tick. So even if you're upset and perturbed by it in some type of way, then they know that as well. And you got to understand, whether they're used to extremities, right? Another thing that's associated with the 8th house is extremities. So they know how to go to the deepest, darkest places and endure, because that's the key word: stamina, endurance with Scorpio. And they can do it better than most any sign next to Taurus. All right? But the intensity is even more striking than a Taurus. So they're willing to bet on themselves before they bet on you going into that dark place with them. And again, you may say, well, I don't even like this girl. Like, what is the problem? They probably understand that as well. They probably don't care. They that's even more fuel for them to say, you know what, I know this is going to piss them off even more. So they can be an antagonist in that manner because that's what they know. So whatever they know is their fuel. That's what they feed on. And let me also tell you this. Scorpio women become secure in what they know. So it's like the more they know about you, the more they're secure. They're like, oh, okay, now. Because I'm telling you, in the deep roots, they're insecure until they know about the other person, enemy included. They'll be more secure in knowing their enemy and knowing the habits of their enemy, knowing information on their enemy. Still, it can all be utilized as leverage, however they choose to use it is up to them, and in what manner they choose to use it is up to them. I'm not here to talk about the strategies and techniques of how they operate that. However, I just wanted to make it clear on why they talk and behave in front of people in that way that can be offensive. Is because they know something about you. They know you. That's why. So protect yourself, I guess, if you have a problem with that. But in all actuality, that is why they behave like that, because they know you. I'm out.